I've seen firsthand, up close, personally and professionally, what happens in disagreements and arguments which always require to be verbs. I think almost without exception. They decimate relationships, and they don't allow any new breakthroughs or understanding. There's nothing generative that happens. So let's go back to you're wrong. Doesn't get us anywhere, does it? I was working with a couple, and she says to her husband, "You're so selfish. You are so selfish." And he just starts to bridle. I can see the color on his face changing. He's about to vent back at her. I said, "Time out." I said to her, "Now say that in E prime." And she says, "Tom, I find you so selfish. I experience you as selfish." Now, I said, "Slow down. Hear what she said. There's nothing to defend. How will you respond to her?" And he says, "I don't get that. I don't think of myself that way." And with a little prompting from me, he then says to her, "Help me understand how you experience me as selfish." Ah, we're on the road. That's dialogue. That's the way we should be communicating. See, what happens in these arguments is feelings and values and heart matters get stampeded on. We end up fighting about the facts. So if you share, "I feel hurt," and he says, "Why?" and she shares the information, and he argues the information. I said, no. Forget about right or wrong. She feels hurt. You've told me you love her. I do. Well, if she feels hurt, isn't your first job to tend to her hurt? That doesn't mean you've pleaded guilty. It means you're putting your money where your mouth is. If you say you love her or care about her and she feels hurt, the first thing I want to do is understand, how did that happen? So instead of arguing about the objective truth of something, the question ultimately is, do you care how I feel? An analogy I use with couples around these fights, and you don't have to be a romantic couple, is if your partner were walking through the house and they stepped on a piece of glass and they were in physical pain, you would tend to their physical pain. But if it's emotional pain, then we run the other way because we think we're responsible. It's not compassionate. You see, compassion and empathy occur when we remove these verbs. Then, if I'm sharing how I feel, and we're not arguing about objective truths, that allows empathy and compassion. This is how I feel. Do you care how I feel?